Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Questioning the Weird. Tonight's topic is about something you probably have heard about before. It goes by many different names. The Yeti, the Sasquatch, but of course we're talking about the Bigfoot. Tonight's two guests will be telling us their personal encounters with the Bigfoot. So let's listen, sit back, relax, and dim those lights and enjoy. This is Questioning the Weird, and tonight's episode I have Shane with me, who is going to share some Bigfoot stories of his. Shane, how about you go ahead and let us know about the stories that you have for us.
Yeah, sure. So I actually have like two experiences. One is secondhand and one is firsthand. The secondhand experience kind of shaped my belief on Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it, because my mom swore to her dying that she actually saw Bigfoot north of Anna, Illinois. And so where we're located is very southern Illinois, I think like 4.5, 5 hours south of Chicago. And very rural, lots of woods, lots of farmland, and lots of guns. So it's not really probable that a person will be wearing a suit walking around, because that is a really good way to get shot by a redneck and mounted on their wall. I mean, that's just the way it is. So back in the, I'm not sure what year this was. It's probably going to be the early to mid 60s. My parents were married in 1969. And this is when she was with another person, a friend of hers. And they were driving a back road north of Anna, and I can only describe it as south of the Makanda, Cobden area. So, you know, if you look on your maps, it's the middle of nowhere and just to the left. And so they were in the middle of the night just driving around, and what they described is something about 7 feet tall or so stepped right out in front of their vehicle and stopped, put up its hand from the light, and then just walked on. And they described it as about 7, 8 feet tall, a grayish color. When I was younger, I was thinking like the bright, almost a white color. But as I've gotten older, I'm looking at silverback gorillas and greater apes. As they get older, they turn gray, much like I'm turning gray. And so I'm seeing that in my mind now a gray tinged, and probably a lighter color because of the refraction of the light off the fur as well. Now, my mom was a person who never drank, and I mean, never one drop of liquor her entire life. Drugs, not gonna happen. The guy that she was with, same story. And he ended up being a pastor. And I talked to him, years after the fact, because we were all family friends. He swore to the detail of the exact same story. She wasn't around telling him the story. This was, oh, hey, mom said that you guys saw something way back when. And yeah, I mean, this is what happened, the exact same details. And so my entire life, I mean, that's what my mom told me. And okay, so we just believe that. There had also been rumblings of things down where I live, which is a little tiny town called Dongola. 800 people in the entire town. So very farm community. And I would hear, sort of boogeyman stories of something like that in the surrounding area. But I don't know really those just well. But flash forward to 1993, I must say probably 93, because it was right before I started dating my wife. I went to a place called Little Grand Canyon. And Little Grand Canyon is an area south of Murfreesboro. And these locations that I'm talking about are significant because there is what is referred to around here as the Big Muddy Monster. And back in 73, through 76, there was a rash of sightings of something in this area. And I mean, even November the 1st, 1973, the New York Times did an article on the sightings that were going on in Murfreesboro. And you can Google that. Just Google Big Muddy Monster, Murfreesboro, and it'll pull it up. And it has the original article that you can, actually get a print of. But 73 was the big one. 72, there was a sighting down near Cairo, Illinois. Several other ones in 73, 74, 75 around the Murfreesboro area. So Little Grand Canyon is just a few miles south of Murfreesboro. It has got a river running through it. It is extremely rugged and extremely isolated from everything else. It's nothing but woods. It's the middle of Shawnee National Forest. And I used to go hiking all the time on my days off. I went to Little Grand Canyon. As I'm going down the main trail, I noticed that there was a side trail. Okay, that's interesting. I never really noticed that before. So I go down the side trail. And as I'm going along, it's just a very weird feeling the whole time I'm walking. The whole time I'm going, it's just odd. I had noticed that no one had been on this trail for at least a week. There had been some footprints I could see in the mud. It hadn't rained for over a week, so there wasn't anything fresh. And I'm going down. I end up down in a slough, which is a very swampy, nasty, stinky area. And I just got the weirdest feeling that I just a strange, like something's wrong. Just an intuition, like, get out. And about that time, I start hearing from across the swamp. There's a little path that goes back into it where a copse of trees was. And I started hearing something coming out of there. And I can only describe it as what would sound like a gibbon from the zoo, but much bigger, much deeper, and a lot more close than I'd ever want it to be. Yeah. Because a gibbon, if you hear those, there's like whoop, 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 with a definitely pronounced P at the end of it. This was whoop, 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 very deep, really loud, pronounced P. And, again, I grew up in the woods. I grew up in a very rural community. My family hunts. I've been out at night. I've heard coyotes. I've heard owls. I've heard bobcats. I've probably heard what I would say is probably a cougar. I've heard everything that's supposed to be around here. I've never heard anything like this. And it's the pronunciation of the P, that P at the end of that. Then like, okay, that's odd. And my hair on my neck just stood straight up. And I'm like, I've just got to get out of here. And it was probably a 2.5-3 mile hike straight uphill back to the parking lot. I think I made it in 7 minutes or so because I was booking. And I didn't want to run because I'm like, okay, don't want to incite any chase instincts, So I'm like, I just gotta walk, as fast as I could. Felt like something was behind me the whole time. Didn't see anything. Didn't hear the smell thing that everybody says you can always smell, the rotten eggs or the skunk odor or something like that. Didn't smell that, but I did feel it behind me, in such a creepy way. And I'm not a guy who gets scared in the woods, like I said. And I grew up out in the middle of nothing, and it's to hear something like that you can't quite comprehend of what it should be. It's a very odd feeling.
Right. Huh. Well, I've never experienced anything like that, and also growing up where I did, there was a whole lot of just a little less rural, more corn, but I definitely can get I'd be scared as hell too if I felt that.
And, that was just, I've been out in the woods so many times before, and I don't get scared of something out there because I didn't know that's what there was, is the unknown. I couldn't place that sound, and it was louder than I'd ever want it to be because it boomed. And I don't know if it was because we're in a valley and it just seemed that way, but I just so loud, so close, and so deep. Like this, okay, I'm out.
Well, that's truly terrifying to be out there in the middle of the woods and hear that. And Shane, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your stories with us. And
no problem.
keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this is Questioning the Weird, and today I have a guest named David who has a Bigfoot story for us. He's going to go ahead and tell us that story and give us a little bit more details about this Bigfoot encounter. David, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. In 2009, I was in Mercer County, outside of a little town called Viola, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine was marrying a girl that was living in the country, and we went out Friday night. We had their bachelor and bachelorette party at the same time. We were sitting around drinking homemade moonshine and drinking beer, and all of a sudden I heard a bunch of coyotes. And I remember on one of the TV shows, they always said that, you know, if you hear a pack of coyotes yipping and running, usually means that there's a Bigfoot with them.
Oh, I never
And I was like, okay. So I kept listening to the coyotes, and everybody's like, why are you not talking? I said, I'm listening. What were you listening to? The coyotes. Well, are they talking to you? I said, no. I said, I got a funny feeling I know what they're running with. You mean running with? You mean what they're running after? I said, no, they're running with something. And they said, okay. So how many shots of moonshine has David had, and how many beers has David had? I said, I have not had that much. So I go to my Black Explorer, and I always carry a Louisville Slugger bat with me. And so everybody always asks, well, why do you carry a Louisville Slugger bat with you? And I said, you ever hit a raccoon with a vehicle and it ain't completely dead? I said, you can hit him with that without not getting hurt, and you know, you can get the pelt. Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess that's a smart way of doing it. I said, well, yeah, it kind of is a smart way. So anyway, I went to my truck, grabbed it, and I found a big round tree that was in her mom and dad's yard, and I said, I'm going to hit this tree about one time. I said, it is an oak tree, right? And her dad says, yeah, it's an oak tree. Because I used to work with her dad years ago. And so I walked up to the oak tree and just took one swing and went pop. And then all of a sudden, the coyotes stopped yipping, and it got real quiet. And somebody was just about ready to say a word, and I went like this. I just held up my finger, and all of a sudden, heard a knock back.
Oof.
And I was like, aha. A buddy of mine goes, what do you mean, aha? I said, you heard that knock back, right? Yeah. I said, that's Bigfoot that just knocked back. Oh, ain't no way. I said, okay. So I did it again. Waited. Got it back. Second knock. And so I stood there and I went, there's one other way he'll come in if I do it. And they said, what's that? And so I just put my hands together and I just went, oh! And all of a sudden, the coyotes started yipping, and all of a sudden they're all like, what did you just do? I said, hang on, we'll see how close the coyotes get. Coyotes kept coming. And about 5 feet from the farm, they stopped yipping. And I said, hold on. And all of a sudden, I just picked up the bat. I was just about ready to knock for a third time to see if he was closer. And waited. I didn't hear the coyotes. I'm like, I'm going to hit the tree one more time. And about the time I hit the tree again the third time, all of a sudden, the coyotes yipped. And they started off and they went back towards the east. They were coming from the south. Mm-hmm. And then when I did it the third time, he must have spotted just where we were, what was going on, and he didn't fall for it, and so he went back to the east. He turned and headed towards the east because that's the way the coyotes were going. And we listened to the coyotes, and all of a sudden the coyotes and him were gone within maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Jeez. So is this like your first encounter with a Bigfoot? Because this kind of sounds like you knew what to do.
Well, that was my first encounter. Is how I learned how to do the knots and that were watching different TV shows.
Right.
And one of them is Finding Bigfoot. It's three guys and one lady that used to be on, I think they were on A&E. I can't remember the name of the TV show. I think it was called Finding Bigfoot. And
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, see, and also back in 76 or 77, me and my dad went to a movie theater in Galesburg, Illinois. That's where I was born and raised at. And they kept mentioning about this Bigfoot and Loch Ness monster was coming to the movie theaters. And I told my dad, I said, I would love to go and see that. My dad's like, yeah, that might be kind of interesting. And so it came to Galesburg, and me and my dad went on a Sunday afternoon matinee after church. And that's the first time me and my dad ever did anything like that since I was a kid. I mean, me and him both were in Boy Scouts together.
Yeah.
He actually was my Cub Scout leader, my Weeble leader, and then my Boy Scout leader. And so me and him went through the 3 years of all that. And so we went and watched the movie, and that's what got me infatuated with it. And they didn't tell you back then, how to attract a Bigfoot or nothing. They just wanted people to know that they are here.
Yeah, so you've just been kind of picking it up from like TV and movies and such.
Right.
So that was the first time that you saw a Bigfoot. Was there another encounter that you may have had with a Bigfoot before?
Not that I ever recall, no.
But still, that's still more than I've ever had.
But my wife, she told me that she had an encounter with one, and it's not too far from Mercer County. It was there in Warren County. It was a place called Citizens Lake, and she heard one whooping, a whipping, like whoop, whoop, whoop. And she said she kind of caught a glance at something, but then she wasn't really for sure what it was. And I was sitting here on YouTube, and I was watching a Bigfoot video, and she goes, "Can you play that back again?" I said, "Yeah, why?" She goes, "Just play that back again." And so I pulled it back a little bit and went to play it again. And she goes, "That's the same Bigfoot I heard out there at Citizens Lake." I said, "That same noise?" She goes, "Yeah." And she just completely just blew it off. And she won't even talk to anybody about it.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to tell her story for us too, because that's sounds pretty intense from the both of you to see a Bigfoot, or at least experience one around you.
Right. And I mean,
now, David, have you ever thought about going Bigfoot hunting before?
Yeah, I have, and my wife thinks that I'm nuts.
Oh, I think it would be fun to do, to be honest.
Oh, I would too. I would love to. There was a guy out on the West Coast. He gave me his business card, and I've been trying to talk her into it, and she's like, "I don't know, you'd be a waste of your money and this and that." And the only reason why I happened right into him, I was in the Quad Cities, and he was in the Quad Cities too, and he stopped at the Shell station. I come walking out, and I was like, kind of looked at his van, kind of looked at it, kind of walked around, looked at it, and I said, "Oh, you into Bigfoot too, huh?" He goes, "Well, I am a Bigfoot guide." I said, "Bigfoot guide? What do you mean?" Because I take people out and they go with me to hunt Bigfoot. And he had one that came in 20 yards of him.
Wow.
And I guess it's right on the Bigfoot website page. And I guess his story is even on there. So I haven't really ventured over to that page yet to see, just if it is all on there. I have his business card and everything just in my wallet.
I might be reaching out to him too and coming with.
Yeah. So I actually think there are Bigfoots around here, but they pretty well keep, I guess, say, isolated just in certain parts. Because I think I ran into one time in Whiteside County. It kind of looked like a Bigfoot hut. It had a whole bunch of big trees, all gathered around, and the back of it was all pretty well, camouflaged in. And I kind of walked around the front of it and seen the opening for it. And it was a pretty good size inside bed, just for a 7-foot one. And I never told nobody about it.
Well, I think with like what you're saying too is like, I live here up in Chicago, but I grew up in Central Illinois, and I think a lot of people that aren't from Illinois don't understand that like it gets pretty woodsy when you start hitting down south and out west. Like it's not just all corn and wheat out here. There's a lot more going on.
Right.
All right, David, I want to thank you for your time and sharing your 2 stories with us about Bigfoot. And once again, thanks for watching Questioning the Weird, and keep questioning the weird.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a ton, David.